Well, today is a episode that I proposed. And I proposed it because so many women, myself included, close friends, clients, just women in general, it's a big frustration. And it has to do around the condom issue.
What is the condom issue?
Well, the primary condom issue is you're really hot for this guy, you want to have sex, and there's no conversation around it, or he doesn't have any, he doesn't bring it up, or he brings up excuses. Like, there's a lot of excuses. So I want to talk about the excuses, how it's a turnoff, and how men who don't have that play, they just have they come in, they have them, they're ready, they don't have all the stuff. It's really sexy. And it's an agreed upon vote.
I would say that is definitely a piece that a lot of guys miss out on, because I definitely have heard from a lot of guys that are very much, have all these excuses for why they don't want to use a condom.
And I particularly wanted to talk to you about it because you don't seem to have those excuses, and you seem to be very relaxed about the state of your erection and condoms and how long you can last and the pleasure that you feel. So I'm very much excited to get your feedback, but also provide some myself as on the recipient end of someone who has that motto. What is it? No glove, no love. So let's jump in. So the main, there's a few things I want to jump in with, but there's a big one where if a man is to use a condom, he loses his erection. And so he doesn't want to use the condom because he wants to last for the woman. This is one of the big excuses that are given as to why he won't use a condom.
Well, it's kind of ironic, because then you hear the other side of the excuse, which is that, they don't use a condom, then they don't last for other reasons because then they come too soon.
Okay. Well, so is that true? I mean, is it true that putting on a condom actually diminishes the virility and potency of the penis?
I mean, I don't know what you mean by virility and potency. If you mean that somehow the quality of the erection goes down, then I find that in general, guys will complain about a condom because they say they don't feel as much. However, I haven't really heard guys complaining, though, that if they're wearing a condom that they are not able to ejaculate, or that the sex just goes on way too long. So I kind of question that. There is, yes, I could see how there would be less sensation, but for a lot of guys who are already applying maybe like creams or different, like thinking of grandmother or counting sheep in order to feel less, to last longer, then I think it could actually be used to leverage that position. Where it probably, I would say this is what normally happens. Guys, once they start getting an erection, especially if they get in their head at all around the erection going down, to then pull out the condom, to then put on the condom, possibly fumble with the condom, then ends up getting them a little bit maybe in their heads, a little bit frustrated, their erection goes down a little bit, and most guys, if their erection goes down at all during the act of sex or leading up to sex, then they have a tendency to freak out.
Okay, so the thing that they're contending with is a mild softening of the erection during the process of putting it on.
Yeah, I'd say that they're dealing with a snowball effect. That okay, the erection starts to go down. Now I don't seem kind of in the heat of the moment. Don't seem as masterful. I mean, a lot of guys will get very charged to have an erection. Keep that charge. The second the charge dies down, they think that sex needs to end, whether it's because they've ejaculated or because their erection started to go down. And so when any interruption in that sequence, especially if they have trained themselves to get hard, stay hard until you ejaculate, for instance, with masturbation, where there's that sort of 100-yard sprint dash to the finish line, now anything goes off in that process, it throws things off. Versus if you're doing a marathon, okay, so you stumble a step or two, which you might think was a stumble. It doesn't matter because you have an entire marathon to go and stay in tune with, you know, the race that's happening, though it shouldn't really be a race.
I think you called it race and chase in your book.
Yeah, in the book I talk about the race and chase because that's between the two couples of whoever gets to have their orgasm first and then be done, whether it is the male or the female. I see this a lot. I was just talking to someone yesterday who, you know, was the exact opposite, where their female counterpart would have their 2 orgasms and then just be, finished. I'm done. I'm gonna go wash up, go to bed, and that's it. And they actually took that as rejection, but now they're kind of like, okay, I put her to sleep. And so it's like a reframing around it. And in the same way, there can be a reframing around understanding one's natural cycles to the erection. The other reason why I believe a lot of guys struggle with the putting on a condom is 2. One, they probably are used to being rather rough with themselves, and you even heard of this thing called the death grip, which is some guys that they need to have an extreme amount of friction, pressure, a strong grip in order to get an erection. That's an extreme version of it. However, if you are then noticing that you can only maintain an erection or get off by going really hard and fast and pounding, or if that's really the way that you go about sex, then to then add the condom on, probably you're already dealing with some sort of lack of sensation. With a lot of guys only feeling sensation, maybe when they are at that 8 to 10, 9 being where you've reached the point of no return, you're going to ejaculate. And so on their arousal level, 8 to 10 is where they even really start to feel themselves.
Would it help, because I do think there's a psychosexual component, do you think it would help if the female partner is like, hey, let me help you with that, I think that's hot, just making the condom aspect an actual sexy part of the play? Because I know for me, if the situation calls for a condom and I'm horny, I actually get very excited when that part is happening, because I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna get some cock soon. So I actually get more excited. I don't feel like less, but perhaps there's an awkward quiet in the room or just this weird waiting. I don't know. Maybe it would help to have more engagement. What do you think?
I definitely think that any kind of positivity brought towards it, participation, where it's not just one other thing that the guy now needs to do on their own, would be able to add to the sexiness of it. I mean, I remember the times that we've decided to use the condom, you are like, hey, this kind of feels like, you know, I'm on a date with the first time, you know, or having sex with a stranger, etc. So I mean, inside of couples play, it can also be used as a prop to be a psychological turn on, for instance.
And so one of the things I remember, because for me, I attribute a man who's, first of all, has condoms on him, that he's like pro-sex, pro-pleasure. He understands like this might go in that direction. Just in case it does, let me bring what I need. I find that level of responsibility and forethought really sexy. Secondly, the fact that they already have it makes me relax, as though like I mean something, like caring for my body means something to them. So there's a level of respect that I feel in my system. And thirdly, when the situations I've been in when there wasn't a condom, I didn't have one, they didn't have one, and the guys affirm no, I find that so hot. I really do. I think those types of boundaries, because it's like he's respecting his own body, he's respecting my body, and then there's so much other stuff we can do anyways. So then we get very creative in how do we connect if that's not
I've had similar reflections from friends that maybe became lovers or girlfriends or one night stands or whatever it is, where they were like, oh, well, I knew that you were sexually experienced. And I was like, well, why? And like, well, first of all, you just had condoms on you. You carry a condom around with you. And like, one, that means that, you know, you're always ready and you know that this could happen, so you must have had lots of opportunities. And then the second piece was that they also said, I also felt that then you were safe, you cared about your health, I didn't have to worry about you know, what was going to happen to me, because obviously you took care of those things. And then thirdly is you have a bit of take charge type of attitude because you know what kind of condom you want,
Yes.
what's the right size, etc. And it doesn't have to be a guessing game. So there is something sexy about a woman when she opens her drawer and has multiple sizes. It's like, which one are you? It's like the counterpart to the man.
Well, I had an awkward few moments at different times where, because I can't use latex,
Yes.
and non-latex can be more expensive, so I got in the, I guess, habit of just bringing my own. I really like the Skins brands because
Yes.
I can feel a lot, and they don't hurt my skin.
I highly recommend it.
And so,
They're also my favorite too.
yeah, and they do come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, but I just use the original one. And so to have that, but some guys are big. So there's normal size and then there's, I guess, king size or whatever they call it in that brand. And I remember a few awkward moments having to have this discussion over text or phone because we're going to meet and we're going to be meeting for sex. I'm like, okay, well, condoms are not negotiable for me. Like, they have to be part of the experience. And I can't do latex, so I have a variety with me here of the kinds I can use. If you want to tell me like which one to bring, then I'll bring, because for me it wasn't an issue.
Because you were going to them.
Yeah, it wasn't an issue of, I don't really care if you're a king size or a normal size. Like that doesn't.
And they're like, she's fishing for the size.
Yeah, so then they're like, I'm a king size. I'm like, oh, and they're like, I'll handle the condoms. I'm like, okay. And then when I get there, they're definitely not king size, and I'm glad I didn't bring that size because it would have not fit. And then secondly, like, it's just the whole thing becomes very awkward. So I think it's better if the guy just handles that with the backup, the woman having her backup. But I really feel, as you said, it's a sign of really like a lot of body confidence. Just like, I got this, I know what I'm doing. I've been in this arena before. I'm not a beginner. I know how to put one on. I know how to last with one on. The focus isn't the condom, the focus is what I'm going to do once this is on.
Well, that's the other reason why I believe a lot of guys don't get so much sensation from a condom, or at least struggle with a condom, is because if you are ejaculating every single time you have a sexual experience, including yourself, and you are a person who is masturbating, let's say, multiple times a day, or for some of you even once a day, always ejaculating, then the likelihood that it's going to take some extra effort to get it up is normal. And I have so many men writing to me saying, how do I get a better erection? How do I get more cum? And I'm like, okay, well, how often are you ejaculating? And then they'll say, well, 2-3 times a day. I'm like, well, try and bring that down a little bit and just notice what happens. Or stimulate yourself once, don't ejaculate, and just run that as a test. Don't even take my word for it. Try it out for one day, do your normal amount of stimulation, don't ejaculate, see what happens the next day to your erection. And they're like, oh, it's supercharged, but then of course comes in the other part, which is, well, then I'm going to like pop too soon. It's like, oh, well, even better reason to be using a condom then, because then, as you're saying, it diminishes the sensation some, plus you also have the quality erection, etc.
Is that true though?
What true?
For you, like that putting a condom on diminishes your experience? For me, it changes things. Like the texture is a different texture, but the penis is still like, I feel the heat, I still feel the shape. I mean, so I'm just curious if that's.
I think it's an interesting question in that, yes, there is a different sensation that you have something plastic wrapped around you. I would also say too, if you're having a condom that's undersized, there's definitely like an added squeeze. Though a lot of guys are also going to wear a cock ring, to be honest. So I mean, that is already adding a squeeze, so maybe it's going to also hold the blood flow in a little bit more. But you definitely want to have the right size condom. Also, try different brands. The quality of the latex or non-latex material, it can be softer, it can be rubber, more rough. It can have a dry feeling. Some of them are more lubricated than others. Some of them definitely are thicker than others. So find one that works for you. But in general, when I'm having a sexual experience where there is so much pleasure that gets generated, this little thin piece of, whatever material it might be,
yes,
is a non-factor.
Yeah, I'm just glad we.
I think it kind of be a little bit fun. Like when we've done it, I've noticed it as an added little kink to it, and I play with the mental arousal aspect of it.
Well, and I also, so there's a lot of things I want to talk about in terms of how to skillfully use one.
Yes.
But before we get into graphic things, which I'd like to save for the explicit part, I do want to cover another piece that we can talk about, and it's something I heard a lot more with men who are kind of in the neo-spiritual communities.
Let me guess. That it blocks the energetic flow.
Correct. So they want to do energy exchange with me, and they want to feel the full Shakti, or they want to feel whatever the thing, and they want to move their energy through their orbit, or whatever the language is. And the condom blocks that, so they cannot use that. It goes against their spiritual practice and the exchange of energy. And I used to laugh hysterically at that, because I know that energy, if you're just dealing with the topic of energy, it can move through the whole planet. So how does something not
I find that
move?
Argument interesting, because then a lot of these energetic types, when they would come and look at suction sex early on, they would go, oh, it's really great that you get all the body mechanics, but it doesn't deal with the energetics, as if the two are separate somehow, and unless you decide to make them so. But I'm like, okay, so, well, what way then are you going about, oh, I don't even need to penetrate. I can just use my presence and my gaze and do the whole white tantra, which I'm like, hey, that's amazing. Well, then you definitely shouldn't have a problem with a condom on. Or is it, if you have a condom on, does that also not work then?
Yes, that's basically the excuse.
So you're telling me that a little plastic cap here stops the entire energy of
course.
Okay, well, I guess it's their sexual kryptonite then. It's like you just sort of put a condom in. Does it have to be on them? Can it just be in the room, for instance, and then start to block the energy?
Maybe, I don't know.
Like Superman has the kryptonite in the room.
But it's a serious issue when you're with somebody who has that belief, and you're wanting to have
Let
safe
me address
sex,
it more seriously then.
And they're saying, and you have to understand, a lot of women want to be with a Taoist lover or a tantric lover or some guy who's done some form of practice and is connected to his energy, and he's a conscious lover. And then this excuse comes in, well, we can't do this amazing energetic exchange if I'm wearing this thing. So she's faced with her deep desire to be met and to feel the energetics and to have energetic sex that has more of the energetic spiritual components to it, but yet at the same time is being told, well, you can't be safe, and for whatever reason she's made it important for her body that she's safe.
Put it this way, if the guy's operating at the level of, hey, I'm going to do 10 shallow thrusts, or 10 shallow thrusts, 0 long ones, and then later I'll do 1 long one and then 9 shallow, and keep doing that. If that's the level that they're at, then I would say whatever minute abilities you would have by taking away the condom, you're probably not really at that level anyways, that it's going to make much of a difference. I've worked with over 1,000 women using gloves to then work with their energetics, not using my cock, using my hands, and the energetics that interact with the cervix, open up the body, etc. And then is phenomenal.
But also then you have
using a condom with my cock, with lovers and partners, the ability to still sense a woman's orgasm before she does, the ability to align with the cervix, to feel the energy around me. The energy body that I feel doesn't happen here with the cock, and then it definitely that little thin, it's all out here. My whole body starts to thrum. So the fact that there's a condom there or not, it has nothing to do with now my heart energy, the cock energy, the feeling
eyes.
of the feeling of the cervix dilating.
Yeah.
The same way I can see what's happening when I wear gloves, I can see with my cock what's happening whether there's a condom or not.
And like you said earlier, there's eye contact, there's breath, there's sound, there's smell, there's chest to chest, belly to belly. There's so many other ways in which both physical and energetics can be exchanged that, I mean, I just think I think I got kind of cruel at some point in my journey where I was just like, well, if you don't have the capacity to like extend your energy through a condom, then you're not at a level of mastery that I want to engage with, because I was just like annoyed with the excuse. So I was a little bit mean.
Well, I think that probably came because you were getting frustrated with being gaslit.
Yeah.
People telling you this. I mean, if condoms were such a block on energy, then I think Star Wars would have had a very different plot twist. You just would have been putting condoms on the Jedis and everyone else, and their whole lightsaber and Jedi mind tricks wouldn't have worked. I mean, I just simply do not believe that the condom is going to block the energetics at the level that most people are speaking about. Yes, I will completely agree that there is a different way that the vaginal walls mold and grab onto the head of the penis and all the different contours and angles. But again, most guys, if you're especially lasting, within the 20-minute range, then you really, you might even want to experiment using a condom. I've actually given this to guys that are starting to titrate more and more pleasure, their capacity to hold pleasure and to be able to last longer, to, use the condom as a tool so that you can actually start to last longer.
Okay. Well, I would love to get into some more explicit stories around the mastery of condom use. I want to look at kind of how you play with the different ways of arousal, the experience that I have when a cock changes its arousal levels while wearing the condom, etc. So I'd love to talk about that. But anyways, if you're not part of the membership, then you need to jump into that, because we do always an erotic audio portion where we talk you through an experience that we are having. And we also get more explicit onto like the actual how to do things in the membership. So
we're gonna have an erotic audio with a little glove love.
Yeah, of course. That'll be fun.
See you on the other side. To join us for the complete and explicit version of the podcast, simply upgrade your membership and gain instant access.